Hey guys, and welcome to this design with me slash build, I guess you could say, video. So we are going to be making custom photo card sleeves for the We Are Here Monsta X album. I have all my completed ones here with the photo cards in it that I have at least. So I'm going to flip you through them, kind of show you what they look like. And then of course we'll get right into building it. So here is what the left and right side by side will look like. So there's show news. Minyaga really, I only have the white cards for him. So I designed these more with like a shaker feel slash look design to them, just because I've been a little obsessed with shaker cards and things like that and making them. So of course that was a strong influence. The one I have the most of, just missing 3 for I am. But there they all are, and like I said, let's get right into the building. Of course, as I mentioned, we are going to be going through, I guess, a design with me, create with me, building of the Monsta X We Are Here custom photo card sleeve. So I'm going to kind of take you through my process on how I design my sleeves. I'm going to show you making the prototype, and then in the end the final pieces. So I'm going to take you through all the steps I do to create it. So of course I like to have the albums here so I can flip through them to get color inspiration or just themes or things I want to incorporate. And then since I don't have them, so I'm using some spare extra Monsta X cards that I have. There is 8 cards per member and then 2 transparents. So I just grabbed 8 photo cards and 2 transparents just so I can have an idea size-wise of what they will be. And then of course I always use Avery sleeves because they're just really cheap, and I can scribble on them, cut them up. I like doing my tests on here because the Ultra Pro ones that I use for my finals are slightly bigger than the Avery's, so if it fits on the Avery, it's definitely going to be perfect for my Ultra Pro sleeves. So first thing, because I've already kind of gone through and got my inspiration a little bit from these albums. A lot of the photo cards and some of my favorite parts from the albums were these pearls. So I went pearl crazy. I really don't own too much in the pearl category, so I got things like pearl paper, so it has like a nice sheen to it with a pearl effect, which I figured maybe I can use as like a backing to the transparent cards, or anything else I wanted to use. And then I got a bunch of pearl embellishments, just single pearls, pearls on chains, all different kind of ones, just pearl balls, a different style pearl with some sequins I can't really think of what it's called, like gems in it. And then I got this huge just sleeve of pearls as well. So I kind of went a little pearl crazy. And then I got black paper as well, just black cardstock. And I also got pearls in red, black, and then these like almost rainbowy styled ones that I'm in love with as well, in multiple sizes. So these aren't the only size I have. And then I figured maybe I'd add sequins in here. I don't know, but I have basically anything and everything I thought I'd need. The only things I didn't really have were pearl related, so I basically just bought pearls because you know me. I have a bunch of sequences already because they are perfect for these sleeves because they are so thin. And that's what I need to test for these items, especially today, to see what I can use and what I can't use. Because you don't want the items you put in your sleeves to be too thick for a few reasons. One, if you have a lot of albums, a lot of photo cards, all that weight will start to press onto whatever you're using, and it can start to damage or warp anything above it. So I like to keep my stuff as thin as possible, which is why sequences are great because they have give to them, and they will, if anything, flatten out more from the weight, and they won't really push or pressure anything else around it. So just from looking at it, it was hard to tell. This is going to be a no-go because the pearls are round and not flat on one side, and these ones are a little bit too thick. I can already tell just by looking at it that these ones are not going to work. So if anything, I use this for maybe when I ship it, maybe I'll cut some of this, leave the pearls in there as just a little shipping decoration to add a little something extra to my packaging when I ship. I mean, I bought it, why not use it? And there's really nothing else project-wise I can use it for because, like I said, it's way too thick. So this is a no-go. So next I'd look at the other album items, like these embellishments, which I really wanted to use because I know on their outfits, like here looking at Minhyuk's, they have really thick embellishment pieces, which I thought would look beautiful to add, but I couldn't really find any that were that thin. So like as you can see with this one as well, way too thick. If anything, you need it really thin. And so like I'd say maybe like an 1/8 of an inch, maybe, not even. So these are out. So again, I may just throw these in as special extras when I ship, or maybe I'll find a different, like, I don't know, project to use these on for myself. And then these ones came with the big round pearl that I can't use, so I didn't really get too many of these. These came with it, and these also are too thick, so that's a no-go. Alright, so let's see for some of these other items. Let me grab a sleeve, scrap paper, because I will kind of put items inside the sleeves and see how it lays, how thick things are, and sometimes kind of smush paper on it and see if any divots or anything occur to the paper. Oh man, this chain's going everywhere. Sorry, these things are like the hardest to keep contained. Alright. Another item I think about and take into account when picking my items is cost. Most definitely. Because if you think about every item I'm going to add into this sleeve, I'm going to have to charge the end user when I sell them. If I was just making it for myself, I'd probably go crazo with it, but I also have to be considerate and think of cost. So sometimes I'll buy things in a small quantity for myself to test with if I'm unsure, and then I always look to find a way to buy it in huge bulks, so to help keep that cost really low. Okay, so let's test out and see how thick of pearls we can get. So these ones I got in multiple sizes. Like this is a 5mm, I have a 4 and a 3. So sometimes I'm assuming these 5s might be slightly too big. I'm not 100% sure. The 4s might be pretty good as well as the 3s. So this one, like I said, came as just like a set. So like these ones are going to be way too big. I can already tell by looking at it. So these smaller ones will probably be perfect to just throw in. So I'm not too worried about the pearl size. What I'm more worried about is like these pieces, because I am in love with the way this looks, and I really hope it'll work, but I'm a little unsure since the back side of this, as you can tell, is pointed as well. Well, you might not be able to tell so far away. Is kind of pointed instead of flat. So I have a feeling these might not work, which makes me very sad because I think they would have looked so beautiful in the sleeves. So let's tuck a little piece in and just see how it looks thickness wise. Now I can tell just by looking at it, there is pretty much a good gappage of the sleeve sitting open. And just pushing on it with my hand, it buckles, meaning these are going to be way too thick to use. So unfortunately, this is out as well. So I'm running out of a lot of chain options because I know for the photos they kind of had a cluttered chain effect. Let's see which photo books they were. Woo, not this one. They have nice linen-y fabric though. So not that one. Which one has the pearls in it? Is it this one? Yeah. So if you notice, they had a lot of chain pearls and pearl attachments going on with their outfits, which I somehow wanted to incorporate, but apparently that's not going to really be a working option for me. But I do have other ideas in my head. Alright, so I also got, so I thought this is definitely going to be thin enough. I can tell. Let me cut a sample piece. So let's just, because these are so small, I can already tell this is going to be like a perfect size and look. So if anything, I could do like pearl paper behind it to help the pearls pop, but there's not too much of a contrast in color, which is also why I got, like I said, this black cardstock paper. I always go with cardstock paper instead of just plain paper because it gives a little bit more weight and just thickness. Just think it helps everything stay nicer. Like the pearl against the black might be really nice for a good contrast there. But it doesn't really have a nice pearly effect, so I think these pearls will kind of cover up that problem. But I also got, since it's called alligator, I got this alligator texture, I can't think of what it's called, embossing folder, thank God. So, I mean, I looked at both sides. This is just thin paper. And you can tell the weight of it kind of cracked it, which I think kind of adds a cool effect. You can kind of just use either side, but I kind of like this side the best. So I can always use that, put the pearls over it, or put like a wash over it, or something. I have no idea. I kind of just wing this. But let's check the last piece of pearls that I have, just to make sure this isn't too thick. Looking at it, it doesn't seem like it is. It's pretty flat. But I'd rather be safe than sorry, so let me untangle this. I had one more pearl piece that I think would have been perfect, but it takes over a month for it to be delivered, which is a no-go. So you gotta think about shipping speeds as well. So that's not too bad. That might be good. Okay, I'll give that a go as well. And then I know the pearls will be fine, but I want to grab some sequences to add as fillers, because the sequences I can get a pretty nice price on. They're probably less than a penny per sequence in cost, but I know there's photo cards that will match, not this one, which book is it? The blues. Here we go. It's these blues and reds. I want to see if I can find sequences that'll match these colors. So of course I have my bajillion sequence trays. I have like 3 or 4 of these trays filled with sequins and anything and everything. Alright, so let's see. So I do have ones like these ones are satin finished, so they do kind of give more of that pearl effect. But I don't have too many of them. For this blue, maybe the purple would be really nice. Let's see. Don't have any reds. So maybe just the blue, purple. I don't think so for the white. These clear ones. Clear is always a nice filler color too. I love to use these ones. It's kind of the same effect as those other pearls. Maybe not though. So let's see. See, I've sort of what I call ivory over white, so it won't match too nicely. I can check to see if they have a white, but think the clear would look nice. Have a nice contrast. So I think that is what I will use. Okay, and then I do have one other item. Hold on. Now, one last thing I was thinking of as well, since they kind of, like I said, had that clustered effect going with the pearls, was taking some chains and just kind of layering it through, and then probably maybe seeing if I can tie this in with it, or some of the pearls, stick them to something behind it. So if I do that, this won't really sit nicely just sitting in here, and I don't want to glue it in because that's going to look ugly from the other side. So if I decide to do that, I was thinking I'd put a piece of paper in, probably the pearl paper or maybe the black paper, or even go with the gator effect on one of the papers, and use the, what are they called? Oh, my brain never works. The eyelets, little mini eyelets, and then use these to tie through the eyelets. Or have like one piece start through the eyelet and then the rest can branch from it. So I do have this huge beauty full of different eyelet colors and styles. I have metallic styles and then plain flats. So this is like all my jewelry-ish stuff because I have the little twirling pieces to hook things together, I guess. So let's see. I don't know. I'd probably think to go with the blue or the red. I also have just flat black, which would go good if I do the black paper. So let me pull these out. Kind of pull everything out that my brain thinks to use. I have white, but that wouldn't look good with the pearl. I'd say these flat ones won't look nice at all against the pearl paper if I use that. So let's just call it there for this. And so that is it. So now that I've got the items picked out on what I want to use, now it comes down to actually creating the sleeve to hold everything. Here we go. Let's start designing. Usually I will take pictures of all of the items I'm going to use, and then sometimes I'll either do one of two things. I'll look at the pictures and sketch on pieces of paper or on my iPad, or I will take pictures, go into Photoshop, create a sleeve, and play with it there. I'm probably going to go with the Photoshop route just to make it a little bit easier than trying to film me scribbling while looking at images. So that's where we'll head next. So I'm going to take pictures of these items real fast, and then into Photoshop we will go.
I took a couple hours to think about what I'm going to do with this far left side on the left page. I was thinking for here on the right though, I'm probably going to do about maybe 3, possibly 4 rows. I'm thinking more on the 3 side for the pearl gem piece because I do want to add a few of these smaller pearl like rainbowy ones. But I figured for this here on the left side, I'm basically probably just going to replicate these pieces up top and kind of maybe do like a thin pearl piece, sequence, maybe a thick piece, and then the pearls, and kind of just go along with that pattern because I know sometimes I won't be able to do as thick of a piece like this for the sequences, or else it does just become a shaker-ish area. So I might need to do like a couple sequence, seal it, couple sequence, seal it, just to get them to stay in place. So I think this area might just be something I play with just to see how it turns out. Now, when I do actually do my trial one, I will just be using junk whatever sequence instead of the original ones. And same with the pearls, I will just be using some sequences again here or leftover pearls just so I can kind of get an idea of how it's going to look, and I just want to measure everything out, and especially because I want to see how big this piece is going to be so that I can make sure I cut it out and then from there figure out how big I want to make the text. So we will be coming back to Photoshop one time, I guess, or one last time. Maybe I'll just make a stencil for the "We Are Here" part and just maybe emboss it on top of the embossed gator piece. Maybe just use it with some red embossing powder or black, or maybe like a gunmetal. I do have like 40 different types of embossing powder, so maybe I will play with that. So I'm going to get a template put together and made. Of course, I'm not going to really use this part together. I'll probably just make a sample one that I will use later, or just lay everything out so I can get a size for the black card that'll go behind here, just because I don't want to waste the actual materials that I'll use, because I don't want to waste cost or anything there. And then I'll probably just play with a couple things for this area and see what I like best. And so yeah, let's get the first, I guess, sample template put together and see how everything looks.
Alright guys, so we're going to be going through and making the templates real fast. I did print out the pages of the template so I can make sure I make my designs correctly for each of the pages. I have my paper here, my little mat. It's just a standard Ranger craft mat. I am going to blue tape it down just so when I am doing my cut lines, the mat doesn't move and kind of mess everything up. I have my scrap BS, really cheap sequences that I'm going to use as just my filler sequence pieces here on the side. And then of course I have the craft paper and everything else I need. My fuse tools are heating up here. When you're working with the Avery paper or the Avery sleeves, you really don't need to give them the 10 minutes they need to fully heat up to melt through the Ultra Pros very nicely. So I'm just going to give them a couple minutes while I finish getting everything set up, blue taping this down, and then we will jump right into it. Basically for these templates, I'm doing it to make sure I get my measurements correct so everything fits beautifully on here, as well as to figure out my measurements for the cutout pages right here on the side, and to see how much actually I can fit of the chains and pieces in here. So let those warm up. I'm going to start prepping everything and then we'll get going right into it. I just cut these things down to fit to size, more because every time I do one, they can vary a little bit, probably about 1/8 of an inch either way when I do it by hand. So not every single sleeve will be 100% the same. But here I got the pearl, looks really, really nice. I think as the backing card for the transparent cards, it looks beautiful. And then I changed this area up a lot. Adding the little pearl effect just seemed like too much, as the pearl from the chains here was giving more than enough of a pearling effect. And then I, of course, looped the, of course my drawing little sketch thing on Photoshop didn't affect this, but I am going to wrap the chains. They will go through the loops. Here I just wrapped it around to kind of get a visual effect of what it will do, because of course I don't want to waste too much time on the templates for this. And then instead of 3 removing the pearls and stuff, I did 5. So I won't officially glue all these pieces down, but of course with these little sequenced pearl ones. I, of course, will attach them at the top with some strong adhesive glue and then probably a few pieces through, just so it can also probably cut it off maybe about halfway so that the bottom, or maybe I'll do it a quarter of the way so the bottom part has more give, way, and flow to it, which I think might be a little bit nicer. So it's kind of almost like a like those things people would hang on their doors as like a little separator. But I think it still came out really, really nice. I like it. It fills the area nice, and the contrast between the black and the white and the chain looks really nice. And I love the thinness of this chain, so it's not too heavy kind of looking, and I don't want to do too many chains with the one. I think with the one looks good with the one. I might add maybe another ring of chain just in between, maybe when I do the final and actually have these pieces starting to get glued down. But overall, I am very happy with how these came out. The only question now is the color. I will put for the We Are Here part here. So I'm probably going to head back to Photoshop once I take my measurement for this section and play with the different colors, probably using the sequence colors. Maybe I'll open up some of the photo cards and see what kind of coloring they have going on there. Maybe use those, or maybe I'll just do a flat black and go with that. Or maybe the red. I would say red, but because red was kind of like the image color, but I don't think red would really work well color-wise, as be just a standout on its own mess. But that's what I'm going to work on next, is this little piece. And then after that, I will print it, prepare everything, and then work on the final templates. Well, not the final template, the final product. So, all right, let's get back to Photoshop. Okay, so now I'm going to make the We Are Here portion for my first page sleeve. That's going to have that gator texture to it. So I have my measurements here, my little post-it with measurements, and when I measured the box, it came out to be about 3.5 tall by 5.5 wide. So I want to make a box slightly larger than that, so I did bring up, of course, an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, because I figured I would just do one entire sheet of paper of it and really see how many I can kind of fit on there. So I am going to take the marquee tool here, or M, you can press either one you want. I'm going to make a new layer by clicking this new layer button down here and go to style. Instead of normal, I want a fixed size. So again, I'm going to go just slightly larger, and like I said, just in case, because it can vary about 1/8 of an inch, but I'm going to go 1/4 of an inch. So the width is going to be 5.75 inches, and I'm going to make the height 3.75 inches. And I'm going to just let it make its box. Now I do have to think about the edges here, because I am going to, my printer doesn't do borderless printing, the one I'm going to use, so I don't want to get too close to the edge. So I'm going to just make a box, and I'm just going to fill it in, in white. And then I'm going to double click on my box, and I'm going to add a small stroke around it, just so when I cut it out, I know where the lines are. So just a small 1-inch size little box. And I can probably use the spare paper area. Might be large enough to actually do like the little piece behind the transparent cards. It took my brain a minute there. So I'm going to first see how many I can fit on here. So I'm going to hold the Alt button, just click into the area, and just give a little bit of space and go. I mean, if I wanted, I can make them tight, so they're basically on top of each other. So it looks like I'm only going to ever be able to fit about 2 on here. I wonder what borderless will look like. Yeah, it'll be just too small. So I'm basically, because I want to fit as much as I can on here, I'm going to play with this a little bit. See if I just need to do some one way and some another way.
really no difference. So we're looking at about now at least 3 per page. So I'm going to put these close to the side and just let them all touch. Because like I said, if I can just get it to where I can use the extra space also as some of my transparent, I'm saving on paper so I can bring the costs down more because I'm using more of the sheet. So there's like less waste and stuff. Okay. So I'm assuming maybe I can get at least 1 here. And then I can always save the rest of the paper for tests and stuff. So I'm just going to pull these up. And now I got to do the actual text. I'm going to use it for this one, and then I will just replicate it onto these. So I'm going to hit T for my text tool, or you can hit the T over here. And then I need to pick my font. Let's see. Where did I write down my font? I remember it started with an H. Don't really remember, so let's see if I can't just open my old Monsta ones. Here we go. So let's see what font. Keystone. How was it? K. Okay. And then I decided I'm going to do the font in just black. So and then I got to do it in all caps because this font doesn't really do lowercase. We are here. Okay, oops. Gotta make sure your text is your top layers. So I kind of just liked, like the picture had, just kind of a little angled, going at a diagonal. Oops. So let's lock these layers in place. So to lock it, I just copied them all and hit the little key here. It locks the layer in place, so no matter what, I cannot grab, drag it, or move it. It stays right there. So it'll allow me to click, drag, and it selects all these layers. And so I can move them all together because I think the distance between them is nice, but now I want to make sure the distance from left to right is pretty good as well. So if I shave down one side a little bit, shave down the other, it's okay. And then my height and bottom. So I'm going to use the arrow keys because they'll let me just move slightly, just like little bitty smidges compared to using the mouse, because that gives you like bigger jumps. And I'm just going to eyeball it. I trust my eyes. Whether it's perfect or not, it's going to be a little hard to tell anyways with that gator texture on it. Okay, so I like that, so I'm going to copy all the layers. So you can just click the top one, shift, and click the bottom, or oh geez. Alright, ignore the phone. Sorry about that. Then you can just, like I did before, click, drag, and then let go, and it copies all the layers. So I'm going to hit that Alt key again. And I'm just going to drag the text, Command T to transform. And basically I'm going to kind of do the same thing. If I want it to be exact, what I can do is we'll just delete the layers. Oh, well, let me delete it because the layer is invisible. And locked. Unlock it. There we go. And then let me get rid of this one too. That's because it's locked. I forgot. There we go. click and drag them all. We'll have to unlock this one. Oops. So if you want to link them together too, just hit this little link and they all stay together. Alright, so Alt key, pick it up, transform it, just give it a nice turn, and then as before, just hit enter when you're done. Now I want to select this one, we'll link it together, and then we'll Alt from this one since the shape is going to be the same way. And there we go. And then just link those together. So my file is done. I'm going to do a quick print of it, just like a little test print to see on just plain printer paper, see what it looks like. But I'm going to save this into one of my folders so I can grab it later. And then now that that's done, I'll give it a quick look over. I will then print it out on the pearl paper. I'll take you through printing that too. I'm just going to use my Brother LaserJet printer I have here, since it is just black ink. I think it'll look really, really nice. And then it's time to make the final product.
So here's our left and right sleeve. I hope you guys enjoyed watching me kind of design and put these all together. Let me know in the comments what you do or don't like about these sleeves, or what you would have done differently in the comments down below. But I hope you enjoyed watching this. Like, subscribe, and share if you want. And until my next video. Bye, guys.